Hey guys, it's part 3 of daily number 402. Shit, I can't believe I did that twice in a row. Oh, crap. You know what? Wrong transitions, we don't mind because it's part number 3. We're going to talk a little bit about the late game. The one thing that I think is most important to note is that from here, this position that we're in the game, to, let me actually rewind to maybe 15 minutes. For about a full 7, 8, 9 minutes, there's not the hugest change in the underlying core. Thorzain's building a lot of Marines, tanks, medevacs, pretty typical, and getting those upgrades, which is the real core of the mid-game, is he's trying to leap ahead in the upgrades. Excuse me. Oh, gosh. Sorry, all that water I'm drinking. Out of my USC Fight On cup. Same with Zerg. Zerglings and Infestors. Maybe you could describe it as somewhat of a transition, getting the Ultralisks up, helping him defend a little bit. But it's all been about where we attack, where we expand, and how we put pressure on our opponent, how we put pressure on him. And you should use those words. I don't think there's any better words than where do I expand, how do I put pressure on. Pressure is a very, very vague term. But you should always be looking for ways to put pressure on and then asking yourself, what'll that do? Here's some easy pressure. Killing off workers. What will that do? That will help wound his economy. And given the fact that we are in a half base versus half base, maybe I can get a little bit of an economic edge and then do a straight bust at the front. Or maybe you could say, I'm going to do drops up here and get him out of position, and then try to do a counter and actually straight up kill off the expansions. No matter what decision you make, base it around the expansions. Not necessarily around, how do I kill off this expansion? Can I do a direct attack to kill off this expansion? But you can do things like, I'm going to do a drop here, which prevents him from taking another expansion. I am going to expand like this because it allows me to just be ahead of him in expansions in a sort of passive way. Cool, and now we're getting into sexy time. So, suddenly we end up in a position in StarCraft 2 where we hit these sort of maxed versus maxed. And it's less about the fact that we're maxed and very much so about how we are maxed out. Now, you heard me say Stephano hasn't really had room or time to get himself up a greater spire yet, to get those Broodlords up. But, you know what's way cooler than getting fast Broodlords on 3 bases without much gas? Well, I'll say getting Broodlords up with 12 geysers up and running. Little drops like this. Whoa, that's very loud because I was rocking out to music in the break. Notice he's doing these drops and he's gearing himself up to push down here. Do you realize how genius of a move this is? Thorzain sees a drop up here, has nothing but static defense here, and says, whoops, I better scan down here. Oh my god, is he thinking about expansions? Yeah. Do you get it? Right? Starting to see why that's really important, that theme? Oh my god, that's so great. The drop up here immediately triggers Thorzain's, holy shit, what's going on down here? Can I put pressure on this expansion? If there was nothing here, maybe I could push it. If he's hitting me up here, maybe he's doing a counterattack. All about that. All about that. Now, compositionally, the Terran player does not actually want to get that many barracks with Reactor because he soon enough wants to get a lot of barracks and begin replacing, and I think this is the way I want to say it, replacing the food that he has spent on Marines with Ghosts. If he has 20 Marines and 2 tanks, he wants to turn that into 10 Ghosts and 2 tanks. He wants to sort of swap that stuff out. And this is sort of your goal, is to kind of inch out some of those other units. What are ways to do this? Well, how about a little medevac drop here? I mean, sure, medevac drops are good, but man, if I lose this food and Marines, I can replace that with Ghosts. Nice. You know what we're not seeing a lot of? We're not seeing a lot of Dr. Panicville of Shit His Pants Town building nothing but Vikings like, Broodlords, and this is something we're seeing more and more Terrans not do, is panic. Because the Ghost with Snipe is suddenly the excellent. The solid core unit that we're trying to get a lot of in the late game. So, ghosts are the big thing. And as we're already seeing, look at that. 20 ghosts. 20 ghosts. 20 ghosts. Wowzas, holy cowzas. Get all the upgrades you can. Get nukes. Nuke-a-duke-a-duke-a-duke. And sure, we're doing this sort of compositional switch out. Mainly these good old happy time ghosts getting produced. And what's our next step? How do we put pressure back on the opponent? Late game way to put pressure back on the opponent, nuclear frickin' missiles. Oh, look at this great defense. Why would we on earth be putting these here? Gee, I have no idea. Maybe because we want to take this expansion. Easiest answer in the world. Have a question? Answer it in terms of expansions. We're getting Greater Spire somewhere here. Where the hell are the Greater Spires this game? I know that they get built. Boom! Greater Spires. Why build Greater Spires? Not because derp, I really think it's a great idea to get Broodlords. No, we can push the center with Broodlords and secure this expansion for us. Think of it in terms of expansions. There's one thing that I want to call a Nidus drill that I think needs to be a little bit more commonly implemented with these kinds of Ling Ultralisking players. A Nidus drill is where you build 2 to 3 Nidus worms, and then you build the Nidus worm exits all in the same spot. Basically forcing units to spew out the other side. Now, there's one thing that I'm a little bit hesitant about, which is the Thor production from Thorzain. It might be because of his ID. He just likes that idea, and that jives well with him. But I'm still kind of a little bit like, I don't know about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But right now, we're seeing Stephano sort of push back a pinch. Both players are in somewhat of a static spot, but look at these infestors. Burrow Infestor, counterattack Zergling. Counterattack Ultralisks have not quite come to fruition, but we have Overlord drops with 2 infestors dropping here and burrowing. We're going to see another Overlord. Where is it? Well, maybe it doesn't come for another 10 minutes or so, but it'll be sneaking along here and dropping. Doing a little bit of damage here and there. A little tiny teensy schmincy bit. And boom! Huge drop up here. What would the purpose of this drop be? Pray tell, what would it be? Well, to get some of his units out of position so that this expansion is vulnerable. Or to kill off a lot of supply depots so he can't replenish. What we're going to see Stephano do is a combination of that. He's doing this huge drop. And remember how I said we wanted to swap food of Marines out for food with Ghosts? Well, we're going to see Ultralisk food swapped out for Corruptor and Broodlord. And, damn it, there eventually is a frickin' stupid frickin' Overlord. Yeah! Kill some production. Obviously, this stings a little bit for our Terran buddy. But look up in the production tab. Oh, by the way, Ultralisk can burrow. I forget about that 100% of games. Because I played StarCraft 1 where the universe made sense. Or I guess I should say I played StarCraft 1 that was not loyal enough to Starship Troopers. Now, suddenly we were going Zergling Ultra Infestor, and now we have a Corruptor Broodlord Infestor force. This looks a lot nicer. This looks nicer than my my Broodlord Infestor force. This looks really good, right? This is better than what most people do. And it's because Stephano was drilling really hard in mid-game and then did this food redistribution to these late-game units. Thorzain. I mean, how many of you just... Where are they? How many of you just build ghosts? Just start off your TVZ building ghosts. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. You got to build up a big army and then drill it all into ghosts after you've established this solid grip in the mid game. Very common sort of remaxing technique. Another thing to note that's just generally important is that we're seeing less Marines, more Vikings pop up. Again, not a holy diarrhea Batman sort of amount of Vikings, but 10 to 14, something like that. And we're also getting up Ravens. Why do Ravens and Ghosts all make a lot of sense? They are all ultra gas heavy and have energy. They are things that cost efficiency-wise, are really good. Marine tank medevac, not as cost efficient. But we can get a shit ton of them really fast, which is why our mid-games are based around them. We can build them fast, get aggressive with them. Yeah, totally kick ass. But I mean, Ghost, the fact that you can have one Ghost snipe a whole bunch, wow. Now, how do we put pressure on? As Stephano, how do we put pressure on? Very bluntly. Well, this gold doesn't exist anymore, so if you say attack this, that's, I guess, half the story. I'd probably say break this open, or break this open, and then that allows me to run little attacks up this side and run little attacks up this side. Giving me some access to those expos. But Thorzain's playing real careful. Look at that, throwing infested Terrans up to the watchtower. How cool is that? Yeah, look at that. Hey, he broke this little avenue. And in a moment, we'll start seeing things drilling up that lane. I genuinely wonder if Queens should be increasingly part of that remaxing mix. But I'm not so sold on that. As we can see, I'm having some doubts about the Thors in terms of their effectiveness, just because Broodlords are so good. But the Ghosts, I think, very much so make up for all that goody goodness. Now, no, he's remaxing on Corruptors because he has the appropriate resources. He has plenty of gas to be able to do this sort of shenaniganry. And, oh, how lovely. We've pushed forward, and we've taken ourselves an expansion. Yeah! There's the Seeker Missile spiking back up. There's going to be one of the greatest moments of the game. I think Stephano, I think rightfully so, is building spine crawlers here, spine crawlers here. Probably want to build some spine crawlers down here. Wow, God, he's so ahead of the game. What a boss. Oh, spine crawlers there. Yeah, the instant we're building Ultraling, or not building Ultraling anymore, we're not as mobile. Boom, got to build this stuff. 3-3 upgrades. Boom, got to get that stuff. But I think Stephano would be about to win a game right now. I think that Stephano should be winning. But this moment comes up. Oh, right. Okay, cool. All right, sweet. So that didn't turn out so well. And of course, Stephano, like a boss, types out a ha ha ha, much like one of those skate videos where a skater falls over, breaks his arm, and says, "Damn it, why does this always happen to me?" Hey, there's that Overlord with the 2 infestors. Cool. Remember, I want you to notice this link up, because this link up will make you feel like a Code S player. Remember how I said it's important to be able to get those generic basic framework words used properly in the late games. Things like, how's my expand going? Can I put pressure on him? Let me come back to the situation. I think it was at here, 24 minutes. 24 minutes in the game. What did we say? We said, well, Terran's here. Should he attack, expand? How can he put pressure on? Well, first of all, should he expand anytime soon? And the answer was yes, he should be expanding here. Well, if he's expanding there, what is the next most logical thing? He's playing pretty passively, defending here and here, so probably drop play is going to be a good way to do some harassment. Probably running these little medevacs around. And even as we progress in the game, Thorzain is still doing basically this. Command centers, and dealing with some drop problems, but for the most part, just putting a little pressure on down here. Now, let's come back, and Planetary Fortress tank super static. Broodlord Infestor super static. Let's just answer the same question. Should he attack right now? No, probably has to do this. He should probably be defending. So what is he going to do? He's going to do these little drops to throw it through. The same damn idea in both circumstances. It was a Zerg player in this case. It was a Terran player in the first case. Same idea in both circumstances. Cool. Good stuff. And look, it's getting some of these units out of position. Suddenly we have a little bit of an issue here, but Thorzain's a little bit too boss. I guess I should say Ghosts are a little bit too boss. So as we speed things up, okay, cool. Stephano's just happy to have his gold. He's picking off some of these duders, blah, blah, blah. Still not so sold on the Thors. I'm sold on all the other pieces to the puzzle, though. I think both players just have to be really careful. But they both have a really good army. I mean, you envision Ling, Muta, Baneling against this Thor. Ugh, that's not going to go well. One Hunter Seeker Missile kills off all those units. You envision Marine Tank Medevac against this Zerg Force. Ugh, it's going to go pretty bad. But, you know, you just start swapping them out with Ghosts. Look at that, 18 Ghosts on the field. 3 Marines! Thorzain Mariners. How do we put pressure back on our opponent? I sense that this is vulnerable to drop. We can just begin chewing through here. It is good at this point in the game to kill off anything, even if he has to spend 300 on some depots. That's going to harm him quite a bit. So, look at this. How do we put pressure on our opponent? Yeah! If we're both immobile. Notice how this is, again, kind of the same basic idea as a drop. Same basic thing. I mean, sure, we just ran the gauntlet and made it out the other side like we're in that movie Arthur. Same basic idea. And now Thorzain is almost forced to be King Defender Man. He can't exactly afford to attack. Maybe he could take this whole army and push to here and hold this point and nuke that. That's the only, I think, play that Thorzain can and should go for. And here we're going to see what I would call an error. An error. Hey, look at these Zerglings. You know what he's going to do with them. You know what reminds me of a drop? A drone push. Alright. Speeding it up. If it lags, I understand. Oh yeah, look. Basically another drop. I think this is really helping one Stephano the game. Here is a fairly useless tab because basically just is a testament to the fact that a lot of shit gets killed this game. But hey, anything's good to kill off. Units lost tab? Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit more on the Camp Stephano side. All dem suicide links. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Shall we tie? No. I think I'm just going to go to the glorious conclusion of this game. But you're starting to see why I believe firmly in a Nidus drill, where we just pop a bunch of Niduses and really crack open these obnoxiously entrenched positions that really only crop up frequently on this map. At this point in time, I would be pretty blown away at any outcome just because this game was epic, but I think I shall suffice to say, start posting questions. Let me actually begin grabbing them. Oh, what's going to happen? Oh, he gets killed off. All right, let me go ahead and open up the question grabber because I think I covered what I wanted to cover. We looked at a little bit of both and got the chance to get some insight into some of those late game techniques and especially the mid game. And also why their openings were so badass. So badass. Let me open up the production tab. Slowly but steadily, but surely, I was thinking it, I swear. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, how do we put pressure back on our opponent? You know, that right flank seems very vulnerable to any amount of Zerglings. Oh, by the way, the one final frontier, eliminate your workers, 4 and 15. Notice that in the army supply tab, they almost have 200 food of army. Pretty important to steadily do, obviously, as you're getting towards a million K. Don't you want to see the conclusion? The conclusion. Yeah, trying to find anything we can. Oh, Seeker Missile gets there. Oh, yeah. Ghost Thor, pushing more. Point defense drone, fucking hell. And you really do need those point defense drones, because how else are you going to throw down the Seeker Missiles? Oh, yeah, remember this counterattack up along the top alley we've been talking about so long? The instant we just took the motivational step to do so, we were in good damn shape. Again, notice how this is basically a drop. You can think of it as a Terran drop. Oh, Fungal! Oh, EMP Fungal. Corrupting everything. So here's something kind of interesting to note. You'll see that at this point in time, it's so easy to go, you had all the Zerglings, and that's why I won. Well, don't forget about these guys. Look at the production capacity for Thorzain. He can basically build out of there and out of these 3 barracks, which he's doing. And that's it. That's it. I really think a lot of these counterattacks by Stephano really smart. Because during this final engagement, Zerg still has maximum production. And there's the good game, the well played, and Thorzain ends up losing. Losing. Let me take some questions. Just two, because this daily's been going on forever. Oh, that's my coffee. I don't want to drink coffee. It's 8:30. So, WTF is a Murloc says, Day 9, when I go Ultra, I find it hard to tell when I should transition into Broodlords. Any suggestion for tells Terran do that could allow that transition? I think the big one is when it's suddenly becoming passive time, I would do a lot of drops, a lot of Nidus drills. And the instant, like, for instance, he's really forcing a split map on Metalopolis, he's going to have to be a little bit passive. You can start teching towards those double spires, that way you can get all those happy time upgrades, and you can do little sneaky drops. Burrowed Infestors help you buy time, drops help you buy time. I think the big thing is that you'll just do a lot of little harassment to buy yourself the time to get those Broodlords up, and then do the huge drops. That sort of thing. Let me see here. Last question from Fencer710, because it is a Terran one. Day 9. How do you keep ghosts alive in the late game versus a Broodlord, Baneling, Zergling composition? My god, I find that the insane amount of splash from both your tanks and his Banelings, I find that there is an insane amount of splash from both your tanks and his Banelings. Yeah, for the Banelings, it's really positionally based, and you're going to need a lot of tanks. I mean, you heard me talk about replacing Marines with Ghosts, but the tanks are kind of like a pivotal unit from mid-game to ultra-late game. They do so much damage, and they are so good. So I think that he shouldn't really be able to get too close. One thing that's really nice is that the Zerglings are light, and the Ghosts do 20 damage to light units, just base. And I think they do 26 when fully upgraded. Yeah, 26. So you're easily able to pick off a lot of Zerglings when you get behind the tanks. Banelings are actually not as threatening as you may think if you have enough tanks. That's true in the mid game, and it's especially true in the late game, because I feel there is that awareness of Vikings and Ghosts in the late game, but try not to sacrifice tank count too much. Let's actually just do a brief examination to see the unit count. Yeah, we have, let me come to 21 minutes, and let's look at the tank count. Alright, he has 4 tanks. He has no Ghosts. 3 minutes later at the 24-minute mark. Yep, he has 8 tanks, 12 Ghosts. Let's come to the 30-minute mark. He has 9 tanks, 16 Ghosts. He still has a lot of these tanks spread out and around and the like. 39 minutes. Has 8 tanks and 17 Ghosts. Yeah, at the 48-minute mark. 6 tanks, 21 Ghosts. And I think one of the only reasons why there's not that many tanks anymore is because you didn't see any Banelings. But the the Zerglings and the Broodlings and the Zerglings. There we go. Broodlings and Zerglings. Not Banelings. The other 2 lings. Those are really easy just to attack with the Ghosts and to kill off like all of them. They don't actually do that much damage to Ghosts. So you just get a ton of snipes on the Broodlords, and that's kind of the important thing. Clear out the Banelings. Start attack walking your way forward. Be careful with the amount of Broodlings that are there, because it'll eat through your tanks, and just sort of reasonably get some snipes up. I would be very leery of going crazy trying to waltz your Ghosts up to pick off all the Broodlords. That will get your ass killed For an example of how to control that magnificently, watch OGS Finn versus FXO Lenok from GSL. They were the first game played in their group, and it was the first game in the series. So I don't even have to spoil the fact that Lenok won that series. Definitely check that out. It's a beautiful reference for how to control those ghosts amazingly well. You'll see some huge direct engagement, and just watch the ghosts. They just sort of calmly snipe from a distance and don't try to get under at all. So that wraps up the dailies for the week. I'm now gonna go. I'll see you guys next week. And by the way, buy Puzzle Juice. Buy Puzzle Juice. My roommate made Puzzle Juice. Tweet to me about Puzzle Juice. And if you buy it, Asher will buy me dinner. Buy me dinner. Woohoo! I like Puzzle Juice. Puzzle Juice. Puzzle Deuce. Fuck it, I'm restarting the daily. Bye, guys. Have a great weekend. Oh, crap. Fun Day Monday. Fun Day Monday is the Kamikaze Fun Day Monday. When you attack, you must take all the workers along with you. You may leave 10 behind, but every time you attack, all the workers save for up to 10. Must come along. Kamikaze mode dailies.